From a young age, many of us are often told that reading is good for us. Every book report, vocabulary test, every essay, they were all created to give us the same message, that reading makes us smarter, that reading sharpened our grammar, boosted our test scores, and gave us a wide vocabulary. But let's be honest, is this really why you stay up late turning pages? Is it the reason you cry when the protagonist in your story loses their battle or when one of the characters has a breakup? So what if the most important benefit of reading has nothing to do with the academics we've always talked about? The real power we get from reading is the training it gives us. It forces us into the minds of people we've never met, the characters. People who don't think like us, act like us, and are just simply different from us. Whether we realize this or not, it's training us, training our emotional intelligence. Hello, my name is Laney Bartos, and here's my guide to emotional intelligence by the book, or really from the books. Unlike IQ, your intelligence quotient, emotional intelligence is often referred to as your EQ, or your emotional quotient. To better understand how reading helps increase our emotional intelligence, we must first look at what emotional intelligence is and how we use it in our daily lives. But before this, I'd like to ask you all to raise your hand in response to some questions. And don't worry, it's not a test and I'm not judging you. Okay, first question. Who here thinks they know what emotional intelligence really is? Please raise your hands if you think you have an idea. Okay, and next question, while it's on your mind, would you consider yourself a very emotionally intelligent person? Thank you for your answers. You may now lower your hands. Regardless of whether or not you know what emotional intelligence is, don't worry, I'm about to tell you. And if you don't consider yourself a very emotionally intelligent person, I have a way to help you improve that too. But first, let's be clear about what emotional intelligence is. According to Mental Health America, emotional intelligence is the ability to identify, understand, and manage your emotions as well as the emotions of those around you. While this is the broad definition of EQ, it is broken up into 5 key elements: self-regulation, motivation, self-awareness, social skills, and empathy. To go a bit in depth about these, I'll start with self-regulation. Self-regulation is when you're able to harness your emotions and make constructive decisions with them. So when you become overwhelmingly stressed, being able to stay emotionally present allows you to receive stressful things like bad news without it compromising your emotional self-control. Motivation refers to the internal or intrinsic drive to achieve your goals, not for external factors like money, but rather for personal passion and purpose. Someone who keeps persisting with their goals despite challenges shows high emotional intelligence in this area, since they have genuine drive and passion, even if no one else sees it. Self-awareness is your ability to recognize your emotion, where it comes from, and knowing the next steps to take to get it under control. So if you're anxious and you know it's because of a deadline, you understand it's better to take a second to rest rather than lash out on yourself or those around you. Moving on, social skills is the ability to pick up on the needs of others and noticing what they're feeling, not just what they're saying. And lastly, empathy is the ability to recognize, understand, and share the feelings of others. It goes beyond just feeling sorry for them, sympathy, and rather involves connecting with what someone is feeling emotionally. These are all key in people connecting authentically, no matter what the relationship they may have. People with high emotional intelligence are able to first identify their emotions, how to manage them, and how they impact themselves and even those around them. It's hard to manage the emotions of others because in the end you can't control them, but people with high emotional intelligence are able to identify where someone is coming from and how to interact with them further. So now that we have a clear idea about what emotional intelligence is, how can we improve our own emotional intelligence? One solution is something many of us never even think about: reading. Poet John Keats said that, quote, "Nothing ever becomes real until it's experienced." And while he's right to some extent, he also proves why reading is a tool used to develop emotional intelligence, specifically empathy, since it's the closest we can get to someone's first-hand experience. And this isn't just a hypothetical scenario. It's backed by science. This is seen in the work of Natalie M. Phillips, a doctor specializing in neuroscience, whose studies found that while reading fiction, there's actually an increase of global blood flow to your brain. reading fiction also boosts your motor cortex, the part of your brain processing physical movement, and even your sensory experiences like taste and smell. So what does all that mean? Essentially, reading fiction activates the part of your brain that processes whatever you're reading about, as if you were, say, the character in the book yourself. For example, reading about a character making a sandcastle at the beach makes your brain react the same way as if you were the one making the sandcastle at the beach. Similarly, if you're reading about a character smelling a citrus fruit, it will activate your own olfactory bulb, the part of your brain processing smell. These are examples of how reading transports us into the minds of someone else, the characters, allowing us to see their motivations, social skills, and more aspects of emotional intelligence. Now, if I haven't convinced you yet, there's more. A study done by the European Psychology Students Association examined the differences between immediate reading of fiction versus lifetime exposure to it. It found that those with immediate exposure showed an increase in affective empathy, being able to share the feelings of others. However, those with a lifetime exposure to it showed an increase of cognitive empathy, being able to understand and see the world through someone else's eyes while inferring their internal beliefs and intentions. Talk about really experiencing something, as John Keats said. Now that you've heard the data, hopefully you're convinced. I've seen firsthand these benefits. One of my all-time favorite books, Little Women by Louisa May Alcott, has effectively increased my own emotional intelligence by being transported to the world of the March family. In this story, it follows 4 sisters as they grow throughout childhood and into womanhood. And in the story, the family goes through many hardships, fighting with your siblings, losing a loved one, self-sacrifice, and growing into yourself. Throughout this book has allowed me to see the inner thoughts of the characters, and most importantly, their emotions, like grief, love, and hard work. I've seen their motivations, their habits, and more, all aiding in developing my own emotional intelligence. Another way fiction has increased my emotional intelligence was in the book Breakfast at Tiffany's by Truman Capote. In this story of 2 serendipitous characters, emotional intelligence is seen through Holly's complex personality and Paul's constant understanding of her, highlighting the importance of self-awareness, empathy, and real human connection. Through these ways, experiencing the characters' worlds have been pivotal in developing my own emotional intelligence, and I hope it can do the same for you all. I want to go back to my initial question and ask you all to raise your hands one last time. Who here thinks they know what emotional intelligence really is? Please raise your hands if you think so. Good, it seems like there's more of you now. Okay, Laney, fiction helps increase emotional intelligence. So what? Emotional intelligence is a key aspect in our daily lives, our relationships with others, and knowing ourselves. Reading fiction is such an available resource we have to help increase our emotional intelligence, so why not use it? With that, I encourage you all to pick up the book you've been putting off for months and take a couple minutes each day to read. Not only will it make your English teachers and me proud, but it may also increase your emotional intelligence. Thank you.